A few years ago, I met a man sitting quietly outside a hospital. His hands were shaking. His eyes were tired. He looked at me and said something I will never forget. Last year I was worried about money. This year I'm worried about my health. Funny thing is, last year's problem doesn't even exist anymore. That moment taught me a powerful truth. Most of what you are stressed about today once did not exist. And one day it will not exist again. But the mind treats every problem as permanent, as if this pain will last forever. Life moves in seasons. Night always turns into morning. Winter always makes way for spring. Stress does not solve problems. It only steals your strength to face them wisely. When you truly understand that everything is temporary, pain, fear, confusion, even success, your heart becomes lighter and your mind calmer. Let me share 7 powerful truths that can help you release unnecessary stress and trust life again. The first key point is this: stress feels permanent, but life is not. Stress has a strange way of shrinking your vision. When it enters your mind, it behaves like a loud guest who takes over the entire room. Suddenly, you cannot see beyond this moment. Your mind starts whispering dangerous sentences. This will never change. This is how my life will always be. I am stuck. But that voice is not wisdom. It is fear pretending to be truth. Life by its very nature is movement. Nothing in your past stayed the same forever, and nothing in your present will either. The mistake we make is judging an entire life based on one chapter. Stress convinces you that a single scene is the full movie. Think about the hardest season you have already survived. There was a time when that pain felt unbearable. You thought you would not recover. You thought you would not smile again. And yet, here you are, breathing, standing, still moving forward. Changed, not because you suddenly became stronger overnight, but because time moved, circumstances shifted, understanding grew, stress loses its power. When you remember this simple fact, life is constantly rewriting itself. What feels heavy today will feel different tomorrow, even if tomorrow comes slowly. Stress also becomes intense because we demand certainty from an uncertain world. We want guarantees, we want clear answers, we want control. But life has never worked that way. Life has always been unpredictable. When you forget this, stress feels personal, as if life is targeting you. In reality, uncertainty is not a punishment, it is a universal condition. Once you stop expecting life to be stable, your mind relaxes. You stop arguing with reality. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, this is happening and I will handle it. Another reason stress feels permanent is because emotions exaggerate time. Pain makes minutes feel like hours. Anxiety makes days feel endless. When you are calm, time flows. When you are stressed, time freezes. But frozen time is an illusion of the mind. Nothing is actually stuck. Even while you feel trapped, life is quietly rearranging things behind the scenes. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. Just because you cannot see progress does not mean nothing is happening. Stress makes you impatient with processes that require patience. There is also a deeper layer here. Stress attaches your identity to the problem. You stop saying, I am facing a difficult phase, and start saying, my life is difficult. That small shift is dangerous. You are not your stress. You are not your situation. You are the awareness experiencing it. Situations come and go. Roles change, titles change, struggles change, but you remain. When you remember this, stress loses its grip. You stop drowning in the wave and learn to ride it. Most importantly, stress feels permanent when you forget the rhythm of life. Life moves like a heartbeat. Expansion and contraction, gain and loss, rise and fall, calm and chaos. If everything stayed good forever, growth would stop. If everything stayed bad forever, hope would die. The balance is intentional. This phase is not here to break you. It is here to teach you something you could not learn in comfort. And once that lesson is learned, life naturally moves on. The second key point is this: you are not weak, you are human. Stress often convinces you that you are failing some invisible test of life. You look around and assume everyone else is handling things better than you are. They seem calmer, more confident, more stable. Meanwhile, inside your own mind, there is noise, doubt, and fatigue. This comparison quietly turns stress into shame. You don't just feel pressure anymore, you feel defective. But the truth is simple in grounding. Feeling overwhelmed does not mean you are weak. It means you are responding normally to a heavy load. Even the strongest muscles shake when the weight is real. We rarely see the full picture of other people's lives. We see results, not the process. We see smiles, not sleepless nights. We see confidence, not the fear that existed before it. Stress becomes heavier when you believe you are alone in it, but you are not. Every human being, no matter how composed they appear, has moments when they question themselves. The difference is not who struggles and who doesn't. The difference is who hides it and who admits it. Strength is not silence. Strength is honesty with yourself. There is also a deep misunderstanding about what strength actually looks like. Many people think strength means never breaking, never doubting, never slowing down. That idea is unrealistic and damaging. Real strength is the ability to bend without losing yourself. It is the ability to say, "This is hard," without labeling yourself as incapable. When a tree faces strong winds, it doesn't fight the wind by becoming rigid. It survives by being flexible. Humans work the same way. When you allow yourself to feel without self-judgment, you recover faster. Stress becomes unbearable when you turn it into a personal failure. You say things like, "I should be able to handle this," or "Why am I like this?" Those questions do not heal you, they attack you. Life does not come with an instruction manual for how much pressure a person should endure at each stage. Different seasons demand different levels of strength. A phase that overwhelms you today might not overwhelm you 5 years from now, not because you were weak today, but because you were still becoming tomorrow. There is something powerful that happens when you stop fighting your humanity. When you accept that fear, confusion, and tiredness are part of being alive, they lose their sting. You stop wasting energy pretending to be okay. You stop performing strength for the world. Instead, you start building real inner resilience. Acknowledging your limits does not shrink you, it grounds you. And grounded people don't collapse under pressure, they adapt. Even emotional exhaustion has wisdom in it. It often signals that you have been giving more than you have been replenishing. That is not weakness, that is feedback. Your mind and body are asking for attention, not criticism. When you ignore those signals, stress turns into burnout. When you respect them, stress becomes manageable. The strongest people are not the ones who push endlessly. They are the ones who know when to pause, reflect, and recalibrate. When you finally understand that being human includes struggling, something shifts inside you. You stop seeing stress as evidence that something is wrong with you. You start seeing it as a sign that you are engaged with life, that you care, that you are trying. And that changes everything. Because once you remove self-judgment from the equation, stress becomes a challenge to navigate, not a verdict on your worth. The third key point is this: most stress comes from imagined futures. The human mind has an incredible ability to travel through time, but that same ability becomes a burden when it runs without direction. Stress rarely lives in the present moment. It lives in stories about what might go wrong. Your mind jumps ahead, creating scenes that have not happened, conversations that have not taken place, outcomes that are not guaranteed. You suffer not because of reality, but because of predictions. And the mind, when driven by fear, is a poor fortune teller. It always assumes the worst, rarely the balanced truth. If you observe carefully, you will notice something surprising. In this very moment, you are managing. You are breathing. You are surviving. Even in difficulty, you are still here. Yet your stress says, "But what if tomorrow is worse?" That single sentence steals your peace. Tomorrow has not arrived, but it already feels heavy. This is how imagined futures drain today's strength. You are fighting battles that have not shown up, and by the time real challenges come, You are already exhausted from rehearsing disasters. The mind thinks it is protecting you by worrying. It believes that imagining every negative outcome will prepare you. But preparation and rumination are not the same. Preparation is calm and focused. Rumination is loud and repetitive. Worry keeps looping the same fears without offering solutions. It does not make you safer, it makes you tired. Most of the things you once worried about never happened the way you imagined. Some never happened at all, yet the emotional cost was paid in advance. There is also a subtle addiction to future thinking. The mind feels important when it is busy. Stillness feels uncomfortable, so the mind creates problems to solve. Stress fills the silence, but presence has power. When you anchor yourself to what is real right now, the body relaxes. The heart rate slows, clarity returns. The present moment is rarely as threatening as the future your mind invents. Peace does not come from controlling tomorrow, it comes from fully inhabiting today. Another reason imagined futures feel so stressful is because they are vague. The mind fears what it cannot clearly define. When you say, everything might fall apart, that fear has no shape. It cannot be addressed. But when you slow down and ask, what exactly am I afraid of? The fear becomes specific. Specific fears can be handled. Vague fears feel endless. Clarity reduces stress, not certainty. You don't need all the answers, you just need to stop feeding undefined fear. Notice how your stress changes when you focus on action instead of outcomes. Outcomes belong to the future. Actions belong to the present. You can take a small step today. You can make one decision. You can handle one conversation. When your attention returns to what you can do now, imagined futures lose their grip. Anxiety thrives on helplessness. Confidence grows from engagement. The mind relaxes when it sees movement, even small movement. The present moment also reminds you of your resilience. You have handled uncertainty before. You have walked through moments where the future was unclear, and yet life unfolded. Not perfectly, but manageably. Remembering this grounds you. Stress fades when you realize that even if the future brings challenges, you will meet them with the strength you have then, not the fear you have now. Your future self will be wiser, more experienced, and more capable than your imagination gives credit for. The fourth key point is this: problems shrink when you stop fighting them. Most stress does not come from the problem itself, but from the inner resistance we create around it. The mind says, this should not be happening, and that single sentence multiplies pain. Reality presents a situation, and instead of responding to it, we argue with it. We replay it, we judge it, we resent it. Fighting reality is like swimming against a strong current. The more energy you use, the faster you get tired. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is the moment you stop wasting energy and start using wisdom. When you resist a problem, you give it emotional importance. You turn it into an enemy. The mind stays alert, tense, defensive. Stress hormones rise because the brain believes you are under constant threat. But when you accept that this is the situation for now, something unexpected happens. The nervous system relaxes, not because the problem vanished, but because the inner war stopped. Calm returns, and with calm comes clarity. And clarity always sees options that panic cannot. Many people confuse acceptance with giving up. They think accepting a problem means approving it or surrendering to it. That is not true. Acceptance simply means you stop denying what already exists. You stop asking life to rewind. You stop demanding a different past. Once you accept the present moment as it is, you are finally in a position to change it. You cannot move forward while mentally standing in opposition to where you are. Acceptance is the starting line of intelligent action. Resistance also makes problems feel personal. You start asking, why is this happening to me? As if life singled you out. That question carries anger and victimhood. Acceptance replaces it with a calmer question, what is this asking from me? That shift changes everything. One question drains energy. the other builds it. When you see a problem as a lesson, a redirection, or a test of character, it stops feeling like an attack and starts feeling like a challenge you can face. There is a quiet power in saying, "This is what is happening, and I will deal with it." That sentence brings you back into control. Not control over life, but control over your response. Stress grows when you try to control outcomes. Peace grows when you focus on your attitude and actions. You may not control the storm, but you can decide how you hold the steering wheel. Calm hands navigate better than trembling ones. Problems also shrink when you stop feeding them constant attention. Resistance keeps the mind glued to the issue. Acceptance loosens that grip. When you stop obsessing, your mind creates space. In that space, creativity appears. Solutions often come when you are no longer desperate for them. Many breakthroughs happen not in moments of struggle, but in moments of surrender. Not surrender to defeat, but surrender to reality as it is. Acceptance teaches patience, and patience is not passive. Patience is strength under control. It allows time to work with you instead of against you. Some problems are not meant to be solved immediately, they are meant to be lived through. When you stop forcing quick answers, you gain endurance. And endurance turns stressful phases into character-building seasons. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable. Not because it changed, but because you did. When you stop fighting problems, you also stop fighting yourself. You no longer blame yourself for feeling what you feel. You no longer demand instant perfection. You allow growth to happen naturally. Stress fades when you realize that life is not asking you to be flawless, only to be present and willing. Problems were never meant to crush you. They were meant to shape you. And they do that best when you meet them with calm acceptance rather than inner resistance. The fifth key point is this: time is the greatest healer and teacher. When you are in the middle of a stressful phase, time feels slow and unforgiving. Days stretch longer than they should, nights feel heavier, and the mind keeps asking, how long will this last? But time has a quiet intelligence that we often underestimate. It does not rush, yet it never stops. Without making noise, it softens sharp edges, brings perspective, and gently rearranges what once felt unbearable. What feels raw today will not feel the same tomorrow, not because the problem disappeared, but because time changed how you carry it. Think about pain you experienced years ago. At that moment it felt overwhelming, personal, and endless. Today it feels distant, smaller, sometimes even meaningful. That shift did not happen because you found all the answers. It happened because time gave you distance. Distance brings understanding. Understanding brings peace. Time teaches you that emotions are visitors, not permanent residents. They arrive, deliver a message, and leave when their work is done. Time also teaches patience, which is one of the most difficult lessons for the human mind. We want quick relief. We want instant clarity. But some lessons cannot be rushed. Just as a seed cannot be pulled out of the soil to grow faster, certain inner changes need seasons. Stress often comes from wanting today to fix what requires time. When you trust the process, instead of fighting the pace, your mind relaxes. You stop measuring progress daily and start trusting growth quietly. Another gift of time is perspective. When you are too close to a problem, it looks larger than it is. Time creates space between you and the experience. With space, you see patterns. You see how one event led to another. You realize that what felt like an ending was often a redirection. Time reveals connections you could not see while you were emotionally involved. Stress fades when you understand that life often makes sense backward, not forward. Time also trains emotional strength. Each difficult phase you survive expands your capacity to handle the next one. You become less reactive, less dramatic, more grounded. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become wiser. Stress loses its intensity when you know from experience that you can get through discomfort. Time does not just heal wounds, it builds confidence. Quiet confidence that says, I have been here before, and I survived. There is also a deeper lesson time teaches: nothing stays intense forever. Joy passes, pain passes, success passes, failure passes. This truth is not meant to make you indifferent, it is meant to make you balanced. When times are good, you learn gratitude without attachment. When times are hard, you learn endurance without despair. Stress grows when you believe a phase defines your entire life. Time reminds you that life is a collection of phases, not a single moment. When you respect time, you stop rushing your healing. You stop criticizing yourself for not being over it. Yet, healing is not a straight line. Some days you feel strong. Some days the weight returns. That does not mean you are moving backward. It means you are human. Time works even on days when you feel stuck. Every day you stay present, every day you keep going. Time is shaping you into someone more resilient, more aware, and more at peace than before. The sixth key point is this: your inner state matters more than outer chaos. Most people spend their lives trying to calm the world instead of calming themselves. They believe peace will come when situations improve, people change, or problems disappear. But life does not work in that order. The world is unpredictable by design. Noise, pressure, and uncertainty are not exceptions, they are part of the environment. Stress grows when you expect outer calm before inner stability. Peace begins the moment you decide not to let external chaos control your internal condition. Two people can stand in the same storm and experience completely different realities. One feels overwhelmed and powerless. The other feels alert and steady. The storm is the same. The difference is the inner posture. Your inner state acts like a filter through which life passes. When that filter is restless, everything feels threatening. When it is grounded, even challenges feel manageable. You cannot always choose your circumstances, but you can choose the lens through which you experience them. Outer chaos becomes dangerous only when it enters the mind unchecked. News, opinions, expectations, comparisons, deadlines, all of it competes for your attention. If your inner world has no anchor, you get pulled in every direction. Calm people are not detached from reality, they are anchored in themselves. They observe before reacting. They pause before responding. That pause is power. Stress rushes. Wisdom slows down. Your inner state decides which one leads. Many people misunderstand control. They think control means controlling people, events, and outcomes. True control is internal. It is the ability to regulate your emotions when life is loud. When your inner state is stable, you stop being emotionally hijacked by every situation. Someone's behavior does not immediately shake you. A setback does not immediately break you. You begin to respond instead of react. And responses are always smarter than reactions. Your inner state is shaped by what you repeatedly focus on. If your attention constantly feeds fear, comparison, and worst-case thinking, your inner world becomes restless. If your attention feeds clarity, purpose, and perspective, your inner world becomes strong. Stress is often not about what is happening, but about what you are repeatedly telling yourself about what is happening. Change the internal narrative and the same situation feels different. A calm inner state does not mean you feel peaceful all the time. It means you recover faster. You feel stress, but it does not settle permanently. You feel pressure, but it does not define you. Emotional maturity is not emotional numbness. It is emotional balance. You allow emotions to pass through you without letting them take over. Like clouds moving across the sky, they come and go, while you remain steady underneath. Building a strong inner state requires intentional practice. Silence, reflection, discipline, and self-awareness strengthen it. When you slow down internally, life speeds up externally in a manageable way. You see options instead of obstacles. You hear solutions instead of noise. Stress fades not because life becomes easy, but because your inner foundation becomes solid. And when the foundation is strong, even chaos cannot shake the structure. The seventh key point is this moment is asking you to grow, not panic. Stress often arrives with urgency. It tells you something is wrong right now and demands an immediate emotional reaction. Panic feels justified because the situation feels heavy. But growth speaks quietly. Growth asks for awareness, patience, and courage. Every challenging moment carries a question beneath the pressure. Who are you becoming through this? Life does not bring difficulty to crush you, it brings difficulty to stretch you. Panic collapses your thinking, growth expands it. When pressure shows up, the mind immediately looks for escape. It wants relief, distraction, or reassurance. That instinct is human, but it is not always helpful. Some moments are not meant to be escaped, they are meant to be understood. Growth begins when you stop asking, "How do I get out of this?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift changes your relationship with stress. It stops being an enemy and starts being a guide. Every stressful phase is developing a skill within you. Some phases teach patience because nothing moves fast enough. Some teach humility because you realize you don't control everything. Some teach courage because you have to keep going even when confidence is low. Growth is rarely comfortable. If it were, everyone would welcome it. But comfort never transforms a person. Pressure does. And this pressure is shaping parts of you that ease never could. Panic narrows your vision. Growth widens it. Panic says, "I can't handle this." Growth says, "I will learn how to handle this." Panic focuses on what might go wrong. Growth focuses on what can be done next. Even one small step forward shifts your identity from victim to participant. You stop feeling trapped by circumstances and start engaging with them. Engagement creates momentum, and momentum reduces fear. This moment is also testing your trust. Not blind optimism, but grounded trust in your ability to adapt. You don't need to know how, if everything will work out. You only need to trust that you will meet each step when it arrives. Growth happens when you stop demanding certainty and start building resilience. Life rarely gives clear maps, but it always gives the next step. Panic looks for the destination. Growth focuses on the direction. There is a quiet confidence that develops when you choose growth over panic. You begin to realize that stress does not mean you are failing. It means you are evolving. You are being asked to operate at a higher level of awareness. Old habits no longer work. Old thinking no longer fits. That discomfort is a sign of transition. You are between who you were and who you are becoming. That space feels unstable, but it is sacred. Growth also asks for responsibility, not blame. Panic looks outward for reasons. Growth looks inward for responses. This does not mean you blame yourself or circumstances. It means you take ownership of how you meet them. Ownership is empowering. It gives you agency even when control is limited. You may not choose the challenge, but you choose your character within it. That choice defines you more than the situation ever could. When you stop panicking and start growing, something shifts in your energy. The same situation still exists, but it no longer dominates you. You feel steadier, more present, more capable. You understand that this moment is not here to break your spirit, but to refine it. Growth is happening even when it feels uncomfortable, even when progress feels slow. And one day, without realizing when it happened, you will notice that what once overwhelmed you now feels manageable. And so as you move forward in life, remember this truth: every challenge, every worry, every moment of stress is temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Not pain, not fear, not even uncertainty. Life is always moving, always teaching, always giving you the opportunity. Thank you to grow. Your strength is not measured by how little you struggle, but by how deeply you rise above it. Breathe. Trust yourself. Trust the process. Stand firm in the knowledge that this moment, like every other, is shaping you into someone wiser, stronger, and more resilient than you were yesterday. Stress may knock, but it does not define you. You are bigger than your problems, calmer than your fears, and capable of handling whatever comes next. Carry this with you. Everything is temporary, and your ability to rise above it is eternal.